Hi there! Today we're going to be making eggplant parmesan. Oh, it's so good. But we're not going to fry it, and it's going to be completely meatless. And I got to tell you, I dig me the cow. But this particular meal, I really love when there's like no meat in it. If you absolutely have to, like when my husband, when he wants eggplant parmesan, he means eggplant parmesan with tomato meat sauce. I mean eggplant parmesan with just tomato sauce. It's so good. And lots of mozzarella cheese. Oh, yummy. And then to go alongside it, we're gonna make Italian soda. It's so good. We're gonna totally do Italy today. So fabulous. So here's what you need. You need 2 eggplants, okay? You need mozzarella. You need some canned tomatoes. You need some jarred pesto sauce. And yeah, that's it. So let's make some eggplant parmesan. Okay, so eggplant parmesan. Usually when you get eggplant parmesan in the restaurant, it's fried. It's got a big heavy coating on it. What they do, the reason why they do that in restaurants is to stretch the eggplant. So you get a lot more coating than you get eggplant. This is all eggplant, okay? So all I did was I've got a couple of eggplants cut up already. You want them about a ½ an inch thick, okay? Any thinner than that, and they're just gonna disintegrate. Any thicker than that, and it takes too long to roast them. Preheat your ovens at 400 degrees. That's how the temperature it's gonna need to roast at. It takes about, I would say 15-20 minutes. Keep an eye on it. As roasted as you want it is how roasted you need to put it. I like them when there's still a little bit of a bite to the eggplant because they still have to cook in the tomato sauce. So don't roast them to completely nothing. About 15-20 minutes is good. It really is. And it's super easy to do. Just put a little bit of oil on top. Just a little bit. Here's the thing about eggplant. You can put a gallon of oil on each slice and it will soak it right up. So don't do that because the point is that we're trying not to be, well, I don't know, it's not really healthy. It's just less fried. You know what I mean? So put it on each side. Oh, and by the way, here's the easy way to make sure that roasted stuff doesn't stick to your aluminum foil or to your cookie sheet. Make sure you spray with cooking spray the cookie sheet first, then put your aluminum foil down, and then put another layer of cooking spray, because even though this has oil on it, it's going to let go of a lot of juices, a lot of sugars are going to develop. That's why it caramelizes. And then it will stick to your tray. So another thin layer on top of your aluminum foil of some cooking spray, and that way it won't stick. Turn everything over and do the same thing on the other side. And what's going to happen is this is going to all get nice and roasty toasty, and then we're just going to layer it with the Parmesan and drown it in some delicious tomato sauce that you're going to make homemade. It's so easy. If you don't want to make it homemade, then go buy a jar. It's cool, but it's so easy. While these are roasting, you can get the tomato sauce made. So it's super easy. And besides, you get to say, I made the tomato sauce myself. And you can look at everybody smugly. Okay, last little bit. And you don't need a whole bunch of oil. You just need a little bit just to keep a little bit of the moisture in. Now you'll notice I'm not seasoning the eggplant. That is because there's going to be a lot of seasoning in the tomato sauce. And if you salt these right now, they're just going to leach a lot of water, and it's going to make them braise instead of roast in the oven. And you don't want them to braise, you want them to roast. That was probably about, I would say about 2 tablespoons of oil. And they're ready to go. I mean, that fast. They're ready to go in the oven. 400 degrees, 15 to 20 minutes. Okay, so we're gonna make tomato sauce. This is just a big can of whole plum tomatoes that I food processed real quick until they were really smooth. Totally up to you how smooth you want them, okay? So what we're gonna put in this is some jarred pesto sauce, some red wine, and I thought I had milk in my fridge, but I don't. I have some leftover Greek yogurt though, and that's gonna be just fine because I don't like a super red sauce. I like it to be cut a little bit with some dairy, either some heavy cream if you've got it, milk if you've got it, Greek yogurt if you've got it. So let's throw everything in. So in goes all that delicious tomato. Woo! That made a sploosh, didn't it? Okay, and some red wine. I'm thinking, oh, let's go 1.5 cups. And then some jarred pesto. This should become your new best friend. Anytime you're doing a tomato sauce, anytime you're doing pretty much anything, you put a little bit of this pesto into it, oh, it's just amazing. Because it's got everything. It's got garlic, it's got the piñon nuts, it's got some Parmesan cheese in it, it's got salt, it's got pepper. Now, I like a little extra basil. And I always get it in this stuff because it just is super easy to use. And that's probably about another 2 teaspoons of basil because I like my red sauce pretty basil-y. And then I'm going to put in some pepper because the tomatoes tend to have a lot of salt and the pesto has a bit of salt. So I'm putting in some pepper. Hand me the sugar, please. And then I've got some Greek yogurt because I thought I had butter. I thought I had milk, but I don't. So I'm going to put in, I would say, about 4 tablespoons of Greek yogurt. Maybe a little bit more. Oh, heck, what the heck. Let's just finish this up. Okay, this is going to end up being about 6 tablespoons of Greek yogurt. And it's just going to melt into the sauce and be so good. And then there's a couple of tricks to tomato sauce that you should know. First is a couple of pinches of sugar. It kind of offsets the acidity of the tomato. Doesn't make it sweet, it just makes it really good. And then another bit is something I don't have again. Darn it, how do I not have butter? That's okay. Next time I show you guys how to make tomato sauce, remind me, we'll put in butter. And that's it. And that's literally it for your very own homemade tomato sauce. And when everybody goes, OMG, do you have an Italian grandmother in your kitchen? You can say, no, I just have me, and I know how to make tomato sauce. Now we're going to let that simmer for the 20 minutes that the eggplant is in the oven. And when it all comes out, it'll be ready to go, and you're going to have eggplant parmesan in about 40 minutes. Okay, so we have our tomato sauce simmering, bubbling contentedly on the stove for 20 minutes because that's how long the eggplant's going to be in the oven roasting away. And then in a little bit, we're going to slice up some mozzarella cheese. We're going to grate some Parmesan cheese over the top. We're going to put it all together and throw it back in the oven for 10 minutes to get the cheese all nice and bubbly. But in the meantime, we need a drink. Okay, so this is pretty much just a super easy summertime drink. It's delicious. And you can pretty much make any flavor you want. They originally started out as coffee flavorings, and you've seen them everywhere. If you go to the grocery store in the coffee aisle, you'll see 1 million of these bottles, and they've got 1 million different flavors like vanilla and hazelnut and dulce de leche. They've got all kinds of delicious ones. This is raspberry, and this is an Italian soda. It's so easy to make, and the cool thing is you can make any kind of flavor that you want, or you can make it alcoholic if you decide to. I got to tell you, rum with a little bit of raspberry and some of this, fabulous. It's so good. So remember, well, here's the thing. You can either use like a 7-Up or a Sprite. You could even use Coke if you want to. But remember, this is super duper sweet. So as sweet as your soda is, it's going to make it even sweeter. That's why I only like to use sparkling water. But use what you want. It's totally up to you. Oh, and I'm going to splash a little bit of lime juice in at the end. Now, I would say go slow because it is very sweet. Okay, so go slow because you don't really want to get this too sweet. That's why I like to use just sparkling water and not soda. It already sounds delicious, doesn't it? Now, you can serve it like that to your guests if you want, because that's super cool. And before you serve it to them, Make sure you slice a little bit of lime, a little bit of a spritz. Okay, look how pretty that looks. Get festive. Mix it up a little bit. Oh, looks like summer already, doesn't it? Let's taste it. Here we go. So delicious. You know what? I'm gonna add a little teeny bit more. Because you know, more is always better. And this is so good. And trust me, you could put this with a little bit of vodka, a little bit of brandy. I mean, oh, what a delicious drink. Italian soda. Make sure you try it. I'm gonna go check on the eggplant. Okay, we have sauce. We have eggplant. Look how delicious they look. Ooh, ooh, ooh. They're so delish. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna put everything together. And basically, you're making eggplant lasagna. You're just making layers, okay? So get yourself. Why do the packages say they're easy open when they're not? Okay. Get yourself some mozzarella. Oh, cheese. Is there anything better than cheese? I think not. Okay, let's see here. Cheese. We're going to put a little bit of sauce down first. Give it a nice little bed. Because you got a lot of sauce going on here. Okay, so put that down all the way at the bottom. And then start grabbing your eggplant. Overlap it like that. And then you're going to grab some cheese. Don't get crazy because remember that's a lot of cheese, okay? So cheese, 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 and oh, let's eat part of this. Come closer. Let me show you how it's done. Okay, so we have our first layer done. Let's do another layer. Just pour some more sauce over the top. And you can see this is just so fresh. And it's going to be so good. And it's so, so rich. That's the thing. Because it's homemade. And there's no friedness going on here. It is so, so delicious. Make sure you get everything covered. You don't have to drown it. Just make sure everything's covered. And then more eggplant. And oh, let me tell you something. I pulled this eggplant out of the oven right now, and all I could think was, I'm just going to eat these trays by themselves because they're so good. If you like roasted vegetables, you are absolutely going to love roasted eggplant. And you saw how easy it was. This actually took about 15 minutes. And that's the time it took to do the red sauce. And then some cheese. And in about really 40 minutes from start to finish, from cutting up the eggplant to getting everything in the oven and on top of the stove, you're going to have the best eggplant parmesan. And no fried yuckiness, just fresh, delicious, homemade. I can't wait for you to taste this. It's so good. And see, we used up all that sauce. All gone. And then at the end, get some fresh Parmesan. And just put that over the top. And then you're going to throw this back in the oven at about 350 for about 10 minutes to let it get all bubbly, get the cheese all melty on the inside. Oh, I can't wait to try this Trust me, you want to make this. You can make this on a weekday. You can make this on a weekday and put it in the freezer. It freezes beautifully. And it is so good. And you take this to work, and your coworkers are going to go, make me some. Don't do it. Don't make a mini. Keep it for yourself. Let's go to the oven. It's eggplant parmesan time. I can't tell you how excited this makes me. Okay, this just came out of the oven, so it is screaming hot. Be really careful. I'm only doing this because, well, you know, I can't wait. Okay, so you're going to cut yourself a slice. And ooh, ooh, ooh. This is going to be so good. Okay, here we go. Oh, look at that. Cheesy deliciousness. How embarrassing. My mouth is already watering. Okay, let's move this out of the way so I don't burn myself. Okay, now see, here's the thing. This is perfection all on its own. You got a little bit of dairy with the cheese. You got a lot of veggies because, I mean, it's nothing but eggplant, right? It's not fried. It's oven roasted. It's delicious. You have tomatoes, so good for you, right? And oh, let me tell you something. It is just cheesy goodness. You could put another salad next to it, but really, I mean, it's basically just veggies. So if you want, you could maybe even get away with carbs. But why would you? All you're going to do is get in the way of this deliciousness. And all that eggplant, all that cheese. It's so good. And you know, it's funny because it's rich. Because the eggplant is nice and roasty toasty. You can taste it. It's your own tomato sauce. I mean, you can use that tomato sauce with anything. And cheese and deliciousness. But it's not heavy. So it's really, really good. And so good for you. And you made it all by yourself. Most delicious. Italian soda. You gotta cook. You gotta cook. It's so good. Super easy. This is gonna feed like at least 6 people. It is so fabulous. It's 2 eggplants and some cheese. That's all it is. It's so good. And it's just like that. And I'm out of here. I'm eating. See ya.